Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk, back again with another Sunday scoring project for you, and this is showcasing the lovely new Painted Love designer series paper, which you can see here. So it's absolutely beautiful gold foiled paper, and it comes in all of these patterns. It's double-sided, so on one side you've got foiling and the other side you've got a lovely sort of coloured pattern, and it's a really heavy weight. It's closer to a card than it is a paper, but that's what we're using today. And the other product we're using is another new one, which is this Petal Palette stamp set, and you can see here there's lovely floral images and some super sentiments. It does come, or you can order framelits to go with it. You can see I've got the framelits, but I haven't used them yet, but that's what we're going to be using. So let's get on with the project. So basically it's a bag that is in 4 different parts, so each of the sides are separate and the base overlaps to make it nice and strong, and then obviously you could close it in whatever way. I've just used some ribbon to close it, but you could create a flap to go over the top if you wanted. I'm going to show you a slightly different sized one, slightly narrower, and the reason for that is so you can actually make it out of 1 piece of DSP and 1 piece of 12 by 12 cardstock for the base. So first of all, you're going to need a trimmer, and you're going to need obviously a piece of 12 by 12 card. So if we cut the pieces of DSP to start off with, so you're going to need 2 pieces which are 8 by 5 inches, 20 by 12 centimetres. So I'm going to cut at 8 inches. And then I'm going to cut 2 pieces at 5 inches. And obviously that makes a nice piece. You can make a tag with that later on. So those are your 2 pieces of cardstock DSP, and you're going to score on the short edge at 1/2 inch and 4.5 inches. So 1/2 inch as usual we do on the right hand side, and 4.5, and then on one edge again at on the long edge you just score at 1/2 inch as well. So do the same on the other piece of card. So at 1/2 inch, 4.5 inches, then 1/2 inch on the bottom as well. Okay, now on to our pieces of card, and the pieces of card are 6 by 11.5 inches, so which is why I've used 12 by 12. So we're just going to cut this in half. No, we're not. Yes, we are. We're going to cut 1/2 inch off the bottom first, because that makes our 11.5 inches. Then just cut in half at 6 inches. Okay. And then each of those pieces are going to be scored at 7.5 inches. Now we also need some cardstock for the front. So our panels for the front are 5 by 6.5 inches. So that's cut at 5 inches and then at 6.5. Pop my bits to the side. And then a piece of Whisper White, which is 4.25 by 5 3/4. So if we do that, 5 3/4 by 4.25, and that leaves a wider border around that, which I thought was quite effective for this larger bag. So the next bit we've got to do is actually some diagonal scoring. So you can do this on your scoreboard or your trimmer if you want, and you do that by lining up the top score line with the part here at the bottom where they cross over. Now that's quite straightforward to do once you get used to it. It's probably easier to do than it is to see on the video, but literally you just, so that creates just a cross on both of those. So again, just repeat that on the other piece, and you may find it easier to actually fold them to burnish your score lines first. And then once you've done that, you're actually going to score down at 2.5 inches down just to the point where it crosses. So with your short scored bit at the bottom, you're just scoring that top section just to the middle. And the same on your second piece. Okay. Pop our trimmer away, and then we can get on with some trimming. So what I'm going to do is cut the corners off each of those. That's just so that it fits in nicely. And do the same on the second piece. So I'm literally just cutting diagonally from the score line down. And then we can go ahead and construct our box. So what I would say is don't stick the bottom panels until you're ready to use your box, because then you can actually fold it flat. So I'll show you how we construct that. So fold and burnish our score lines. Just be careful with the burnishing, because obviously you don't want to damage that lovely gold foiling. Make sure you burnish those side creases well though, because those obviously are where it's going to join up with the box. So our 2 diagonals, and then our 3 side pieces. And then this top one you're going to fold out, and then that's then going to fold in to create our sort of like diamond side. So out, and then just pop that in. And again, that's just easier to do before it's constructed. Then I'm going to be using some fuse for speed, but obviously red tape would be useful as well. So I'm just going to come down on the sides only with my fuse, and then lining up that bottom score line and the top edge like so, and fold that down well. And then I find it easier once I've done one to kind of line it up with the card like so. And again, you know, it wouldn't hurt to burnish with your bone folder. Then do exactly the same on the other one. So use your fuse. Just make sure you're oriented the right way. So line the card up with the top here, and just tuck in like so, and then the last piece lines up. So when you come to make your box ready to gift, you're just going to put some tape on here, tape on the inside, and tape on there, and that's then your box. Like so. So all we need to do now is actually create our panel for the top. So we've already cut our Whisper White cardstock. Now because we're going to do some embossing, I'm going to rub all over with my embossing buddy first, and that just helps remove any sort of oiliness or any static that's on there. And I seem to be a particularly static person, so it's good for me. And I'm going to do this in 2 stages, because we've got 2 floral images, and then we've got our centre sentiment. Okay, my block's just decided to detach itself, so I'm just going to press that down to make sure it's properly adhered. It's always difficult because Versamark is that little bit tacky. I'm going to have some fun with this. Right. I'm just going to very quickly adhere my block using some cling. So this, for those of you that don't know this, this is some cling that's available. So I might as well do a bit of a technique tip as well. I clean my block with a bit of hand sanitizer. Make sure it's really nice and clean. And that will often do the trick to get your stamp set to cling. If you're having difficulty with your cling mounted blocks, then you can get this cling mount film that I tend to put on one side of my blocks, and that just helps it cling on. And then I can use one side for cling mount and one side for a clear mount. Okay, it's going to be one of those days, isn't it? Okay. Right, okay, now success. Okay, so Versamark in the top corner. Okay, we're there. Versamark in the bottom corner. And then we're going to use gold embossing powder. That's to obviously match with the gold effect that you've got on the foiling. And I'm just going to literally shake that all over. And don't worry if it looks like a large amount, because once you have as long as you put a piece of card underneath, then you are all sorted. And if you get the odd specks here, just use a brush to get rid of those. Pop your powder away. Those of you who've watched my videos will see that my history with embossing powder is not great. It does tend to go everywhere. So put your lid on. And then the next thing you'll find is you're going to heat up with an embossing tool. So it takes a little while to go, but literally just keep it, just move it gently. You don't have to waft it everywhere. Just wait until it's heated up, and then hopefully I'll be able to show you the magic will happen. So if you come from underneath, there we go, it's just starting to go now. You can see it turns from the sort of dark, sort of dull finish to a gorgeous gold. And you literally just keep moving your heat gun underneath very gently, and I find this is a better way because I can actually see once it's turned. And don't just wait, you need to wait until it's turned and then sort of melted together. So to stop, when it first goes, it kind of goes a little bit grainy, and then when you keep it on there a little longer, just only a few seconds, it just sort of melts and you get a beautifully smooth finish as the powder kind of amalgamates together. So hopefully you can see that happening as we speak. So there we go. And so the next thing is to do our sentiment in the middle. And I'm just going to do the simple congratulations. Oh no, I'm just going to do the simple life is so much better with you in it. So we do the same again. Get a piece of scrap paper, plenty of embossing powder, and again, where you've got a little bit extra, don't worry about it, because you can just take that off with a brush. And then literally just tip the rest of that away. Oh, it might have been better to put it on a higher heat. So I'm just going to repeat the process exactly the same way. As you can see, it's working more quickly because I've already got it heated up. So now you've done that, we're going to colour it in. And you could use anything to colour in. On the one I used an aqua painter. On this one I'm just going to use our new blends, which work really well and come in Calypso Coral as well. So you literally, and this is where you can just pop the colour in there. And this is designed to be a kind of watercolour effect. So it doesn't take very much. There we go. And you can come in and add shading as you want. When you're using the blends with embossing powder, just be careful not to go over it too much, because it can kind of, the alcohol can kind of break down the embossing powder, so you can get a bit, you see on the other one, and you can get a bit of sort of muddiness coming in. But with the sort of brush tip it's quite easy to come in like so. And then literally with the leaves, I'm going to come in. So you can see, it really come in quite sort of, you know, I usually spend a little bit more time, obviously, colouring it in, but I'm conscious of time. And then all we need to do then is come in with our Calypso Coral and stamp across the bottom here. And this is actually a lovely sort of textured row of dots, so you can get a really pretty effect. So all that remains for us to do is to layer up, I just happen to have fuse, but normally you'd use snail. Layer up our front panel onto our Calypso Coral panel, and then that can simply layer onto the front of our bag, or our sort of boxy kind of bag. There you go. Obviously do that while it's flat. And then all I've done is I've come in and punched a hole right at the very top on either side. And then when you come to gift it, pop your gift inside with some lovely tissue paper, add some ribbon, and I've used the lovely organza ribbon, and what I did was I doubled it over and threaded it through. So if you want any of the products, pop along to my Stampin' Up shop, heidismith.stampinup.net, or go to my blog for more details. The measurements will be on there in centimetres and inches. And come back and see me again soon. And literally the other side I fed it through, which he doesn't going to want to do because I'm running out of time. Thread through, create a handle, and there we go. And as I say, it's a really spacious kind of box, and you can fit lots of things in. Toiletries I'm thinking particularly. So just tie that off on the side. And there we have it. Thanks for watching. Come back and see me again soon.